Thanks. The government in there really should be ashamed of themselves for the fear and the shock that they inflicted on SNAs, on parents, on teachers, on principals, on school communities, and even, as we heard, young children themselves in the schools. As it happens, that young 11-year-old, I don't know him, happens to be from the school I went to, Johnstown National School, and many will have seen you. It is shameful that the government instilled that shock and fear on people who have enough to do, as you know, who have enough to do, who day in, day out are fighting for their children, fighting for the resources they need, fighting for their rights. We've been here before, haven't we, fighting for school places, fighting for resources, and they do this. And then try and deny the fact that it was anything to do with them. The government should own what they've done and apologise for it. But if it is the case, and really, I mean, I have to say, being down in Johnstown, but I know you all have your own experiences. But the severity of the cuts in Johnstown, the school I went to, I couldn't really believe until I actually went down and talked to the SNAs, who said, we were hearing government ministers saying, there will be no SNA loses their job. But those the SNAs in Johnstown, as I'm sure everywhere else, hadn't heard a word. And what was happening was the number of SNAs was going down from 9 to 3.8, 57% cut, and they had no idea where they were going, what it meant for the children. There were parents saying, my daughter won't be able to come into school without the SNA. There were parents who were saying the SNA gives insulin shots to my child. Without that, literally my child's life and welfare is at stake. There was teachers saying we will not be able to cope because it was the teachers were told they were going to pick up the slack for this, and they couldn't cope already in class sizes that are too big. All of that was inflicted by a government who then denies that it even knew about it. Now that's either gross dishonesty or an unbelievable level of incompetence that they didn't know what the NCSE were doing and what was going out in the letters to schools across the country. But if you didn't need it, if you could do without having to protest, my God, you showed us how to protest, and you put manners on this government over the last week. It literally is a rebellion across the country, and it has them running backwards at a rate of knots. So well done to you. But I know you're here now, as people from my former school said to me, I said, what do you think about the protest going ahead? And they said, absolutely, it has to go ahead, because we do not trust the government that did this in the first place not to have us here again in a year's time facing the same problem. So that's what's at stake. We have to maintain the momentum, build a coalition. I can certainly give Niamh the commitment that we will pull the opposition parties together in the next couple of days to build that united front inside here, to insist that that circular is torn up, is rewritten, and is written with the input of educators, of SNAs and parents, not by bureaucrats who don't actually understand the needs of our children. We don't want algorithms. We don't want algorithms. We don't want cost containment. We want them to start from the fact that education for our children is a basic human right, And if they want to know what resources are needed, ask the parents, ask the teachers, ask the SNAs, trust the schools. They'll tell you what is needed, and they can provide the resources. So keep up the fight. You've won an important victory today, but you've got to stay mobilised, because we all know we could be back here again in a year's time unless we force them to change fundamentally their attitude and not see special needs as a headache they have to manage, but rather as an obligation they have to ensure all of the children in this country are treated equally, and that those that provide the supports to them, like the SNAs, the teachers and the schools, are given the resources they need to vindicate the rights of our children to equal participation in our society.